Okay, hopefully you guys could hear me and I hope all is well. Um, Today you missed out on Module 3, Lesson 36, but that's okay. We're going to go over it right now. It's based off yesterday's lesson, so let's look at what we'll be able to do. Today we will be able to multiply, which is, remember, repeated addition, a whole number, a number with no remaining or parts. We're not going to multiply a decimal today. And we're going to be working with up to 4 digits, so your answer sometimes will have 4 digits. But we're actually going to be multiplying two-digit numbers, so 30 times 30 or 30 times 21. We're going to use strategies today to help us solve it. We just need to remember, though, our place value. So our place value, what do we know about place value? Well, how many units are in a number? What makes that number? We're really going to focus on the properties of operation, how we're going to be able to solve this, and we are going to really focus on the area model. This is an example of the area model. What we should remember with the area model is length times width. How long something is and how wide something is. We talked about this earlier this year when we talked about rectangles. So the shape we will use for our area model is a rectangle. Let's go ahead and start by looking at our application problem. It's about Mr. Googins, who sets up 30 rows of chairs in the gymnasium. Gymnasium is another word for gym. If each row has 35 chairs, how many chairs did Mr. Googins set up? Draw an area model to help. Draw an area model to represent and to help solve this problem. Well, we talked about this at the start. An area model would mean that we need to draw a rectangular shape. We know that Mr. Googins had 30 rows of chairs. Each row had 35. So that's like saying, hmm, row 1 would have 35, row 10 would have 35, row 15 would have 35. Well, if we were to add all of that, that would be really long to add. So let's make this shorter and use repeated addition, or the quicker way to do that, which is multiplication. Our multiplication sentence would be 30 times 35. And what we're going to do is go ahead and put it into our shape. So I'm going to switch colors because on this side, I'm going to put 30. That means that the length of this shape will be 30. But the width, we're going to break it apart because we know we will be multiplying 30 times 5 in the 35 and 30 times 3/10 in 35. We could break 35 into 30 over here and 5. And now I'm going to split my area model into two. That way I could work in this section, which tells me that the length is 30 and the width is 30, so 30 times 30. And in this section, which tells me that the length is 30 but the width is 5. I'm going to write it in so I don't forget. Now when we multiply, what we do is we remember in class that we are multiplying 3/10 times 3/10. Well, 10 times 10 is 100, so we know our answer will have as many zeros as 100 would have. 100 has two zeros, so that means that our answer would have two zeros at the end. 3 times 3, 3, 6, 9. I'm going to write 9 here, and now we're going to have two zeros at the end. A zero for this 30 and another zero for this 30. Now we're going to go ahead and multiply 3/10 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. You could count up by fives. You could say 5, 10, 15. We also have a 0 in 30. So we're going to have a 0 at the end. Now we need to add all of our partial products together. We're going to write 150 at the top and add that to 900 to find out how many chairs in all Mr. Googins would have. So 0 plus 0 is 0, 5 plus 0 is 5, and 9 plus 1 is 10. So Mr. Googins has 1,050 chairs in all. This is how we use the area model to multiply. But today's lesson, we're going to use this exact thinking to answer multiplying two digits, but this time it looks a little different. In this section, we realize that now Mr. Googins adds 4 more rows of chairs with 35 in each. So instead of it being 30, we now have 34. And we have to split our square into 30 and 4 to represent 34 and 30 and 5 to represent 35. Remember, you could add your lengths together, but we are multiplying to find out the inside, which is the area. Area model, length times width, the inside. So we're using the perimeter to find out what the inside of this shape would be. The dimensions are on the outside. Well, let's label what's inside each box. In this section here, it's telling me that the length is 4 and the width is 30. So that means in this box, we're going to have 4 times 30. In the box next to it, it's still representing 4, and the width would be 5. So in this box, we are multiplying 4 times 5. In this bottom box, I want us to remember that in this unit will be 100, like our place value units from lower grades. So that means that it would be 30 times 30. We know that it would be 3 tens times 3 tens, and 10 times 10 is 100. So in this box, we will be multiplying 30 times 30. In our last box, we will be multiplying 30 times 5. Let's fill in the blanks. Just for this lesson, or just for this example, I'm going to write the dimensions of what we're going to be multiplying inside. All right, so now we're going to record the partial parts. I'm going to write 4 times 30 in this box, 4 times 5 in this box, 30 times 30 in this box. Could you guess what would go in this box? If you said 30 times 5, you are correct. Now we're going to fill in the blanks. You're going to tell me what actually is that number. So 4 times 30, how we do this strategy is by saying 4 times 3 with a 0 at the end. 4 times 3 is 12. With a 0 at the end is 120. So 30 times 4 is 120. Next, we're going to multiply 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Let's look at this big box. 3 tens times 3 tens, or 30 times 30. 3 times 3, 3, 6, 9. And now we're going to remember this by making sure we added the 0 in this 30 and the 0 in this other 30. Next, we're going to multiply 30 times 5. 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. And because 30 has 1 0, we're going to add that 0 here. Now we need to add all the partial products together to find out how many in all. Let's start with the smallest unit, which was our 20. Next, we're going to add 120, 150. A strategy could be writing it backwards so that you don't mess up the place value. And next, we're going to end it with 900. This is called adding the partial units. We're going to add our totals at the bottom. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. Next, we have 2 tens plus 2 tens plus 5 more tens. So 5 plus 2, 7. And 7 plus 2, 9. Now let's add our hundreds together. 900 plus 100 is 10 hundreds or 1,000. Plus 1 more is 11. So the answer is 1,190. Let's look at it because we can multiply 4 by the place values above. When we're done with the place value ones, we move on to the place value tens. When we multiply, it looks like this. 4 times 30, plus the 4 times 5, plus 30 times 30, plus 30 times 5. And we add them all together. Let's go ahead and look at this by matching it. 30 times 5 was 150. 30 times 30 was 900. 4 times 5 was 20. And 4 times 30 was 120. That's all we did to solve this problem. Now let's continue. We're about to work on this question right here. It's the same thing. 3 times 30, 3 times 1. 20 times 30, 20 times 1. Let's write out our partial products. This is just for this part. Okay? 3 times 3 is 9 with a 0 at the end. 3 times 1 is 3 because anything times 1 is 3. Next, we move down low. We're going to say 20 times 3 or 2 tens times 3 tens. 2 times 3 is 6. There's a 0 in 20. There's a 0 in 30. Next, we're going to multiply 20 times 1. Well, anything times 1 is that number, so the answer will be 20. Now let's add them up together with the smallest units at top. 3, then 20, plus 90, plus 600. 3 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 3. 9 plus 2, 9, 10, 11. So 1 here and our new hundreds below. I love to circle it so I don't forget those units. And 600 plus 1 more 100 is 700. So the answer is 713. Now, if you would like to try this strategy, you could look into your assignment. This first one is in your assignment. This is one our class did together. As you can see, we split up 38 into 30 and 8 because 30 plus 8 gives us 38. We also broke apart 40 and 3. 40 plus 3 is 43. Next, what we're going to do is multiply 8 times 40 or 8 times 4 tenths. And we know the answer is 32. But because the answer had a 40, one of the parts was 40, we had to add the 0 at the end. Look how many zeros are in the bigger box. 2. That means we multiply 30 times 40 here because these two digits have zeros at the end. Go ahead and try your assignments now. You could also pause and rewind this video if you needed to look back. Please message me if you have any problems. All right, bye.